The Enclave Remnants is one of my favorite things about Fallout New Vegas. It was so much fun finding the members of the Remnants scattered about throughout the Mojave Wasteland. We are going to take a look at who made up the Enclave Remnants and their backstories. If you head over to Novak and search some of the apartments, you will eventually come across Daisy Whitman. Whitman was a pilot for the Enclave way back in 2242. Flying became an extreme passion for Daisy. She loved it so much that she would take the scenic route back to Navarro each time she flew on a mission. Out of 71 missions, Daisy only lost one vertibird. This loss resulted in losing 2 of her crewmates. Her flight career ended during the events of Fallout 2. When approached by the courier about her flight career, Daisy had this to say.
I was never happier than when I was in the cockpit. I was able to go just about anywhere and everywhere, limited only by the fuel I could carry.
Daisy would give anything to fly again, even if it meant swimming at the bottom of Lake Mead. That's how much she loved flying. Next up, we're going to talk about Cannibal Johnson. Johnson was an Enclave soldier. He would feud with fellow squad mate Orion Moreno, who we will meet later on. Johnson and Moreno hated each other so much because of their difference in political philosophies. After the destruction of the Control Station Enclave, Johnson, along with the squad, fled east. Johnson and the rest of the Remnants ended up settling in the Mojave Wasteland, but went their separate ways. Johnson eventually settled down with a tribal girl that he met in the Wasteland. However, they never had children due to her passing. Johnson now sits alone in his cave, waiting to die from the sins he had committed while being a part of the Enclave. Now, some might ask about the origins of Cannibal Johnson's nickname. Well, one day, just trying to survive in this unforgiving wasteland, Johnson was completely surrounded by raiders. Out of options, Johnson did the first thing that occurred to him at that point in time. He bit into the heart of a raider that he had already taken down. This shocked the other raiders, causing them to flee, which bought him time to rest and to take out the rest of them.
The truth of it is that I did cut out a raider's heart, but only took a bite to mess with his buddies. They had me surrounded, and I went with the first thing that came to mind. Some ran, and the rest were startled just long enough. Sure do. Had a wife for a while. Tribal girl, really pretty eyes. But she's been gone a long time now.
Let's move on to Dr. Henry. Henry worked with the Enclave on canine cybergenetics. He specialized in both canine and human neuroscience. Henry also worked on a mutagenic serum, hoping to cure super mutants as an alternative to the Enclave's goal to kill the afflicted. Henry and the Enclave did not see eye to eye, so Henry chose to leave. He was okay with that decision because the Enclave oil rig was destroyed shortly after he left. After leaving the Enclave behind, Henry integrated into the NCR, where he set up his own clinic in an NCR town. One night though, Henry had a little too much to drink and spoke about his involvement in the Enclave. No one knew that he was in the Enclave. This was a huge mistake by Henry, because former members of the Enclave aren't supposed to speak about their involvement. The reason for that is because most people in the Wasteland wouldn't have a very kind reaction towards that. After a series of events, Henry moved on from the NCR town. He relocated to the Mojave Wasteland, just like the other remnants. Henry ended up settling in Jacobstown, a town of super mutants and nightkin. Henry was able to set up his own lab there.
Is there something else I can do for you? Promising, but I won't be able to synthesize the drug anytime soon. I really should get back to my work. There's still power, but the casing is cracked. I'm astonished that exposure to the stealth radiation could induce mutations so rapidly. More importantly, this explains why my research into this group of Night Stalkers hasn't come up with a cure for the Nightkin. There's only one avenue left for me. I need to run the Mark II test on Lily. It's the only way.
Let's talk about our fourth member of the Enclave Remnants, Orion Moreno. He was a very dedicated Enclave soldier. Moreno never questioned the behavior of the Enclave or the legitimacy of the organization. Moreno thinks that the Enclave is the United States, or was the United States. Moreno remains stuck in the past, and he wanted to relive his glory days of the Enclave. He resents the NCR for what happened back at Navarro. Living in the Mojave did not improve his opinion of the NCR one bit. NCR soldiers actually showed up to Moreno's home and told him that he was squatting on NCR territory. To make matters even worse, Moreno was there long before the NCR had control over the Hoover Dam. Some would say that Orion Moreno's feelings of the NCR are definitely justified.
Looks like I forgot to lock the doors again. If you're with the NCR, get out. This place is mine, and I'm not leaving. Oh, like you wouldn't believe. The NCR makes a habit out of wrecking homes. I came out here to get away from them. Didn't work out so well. Next thing I know, I'm squatting in their land. Never mind that I already been living here for years.
Let's get to the final member of the Enclave Remnants, Judah Kreger. Kreger was actually the captain of the group. He's the one responsible for Cannibal Johnson and Orion Moreno from tearing each other apart. Kreger was the glue that held the team together. After settling in the Mojave Wasteland, Kreger now lives on the west side. Kreger misses the Enclave because he felt that he had a purpose with them. He was aware that the Enclave was a group with ruthless leaders. However, the goals of his group was always focused on civilizing things. Even though that is all you can find of the Enclave Remnants in the Mojave Wasteland, we cannot forget to mention the leader of the Enclave Remnants, the real true leader of the group. You never actually see him in the game, but his name is Officer Gannon, the father of Arcade Gannon. Daisy was incredibly close to Gannon. In fact, when Officer Gannon passed away, and later on his wife, Daisy looked after Arcade. You learn about Officer Gannon more when Arcade opens up to the courier. Arcade says he wishes he had his father during his upbringing. He also mentions that Cannibal Johnson told Arcade that his father was a good man, which satisfied him since he wasn't around to experience it himself.
I'm really very boring. You'd get better stories out of a Freeside junkie. No, really. Have you ever snorted a ground-up Cazador venom sac? Neither have I. But I can guarantee you that a Freeside junkie has. Oh, all right. I'm 30-ish. Well, late 30s. I was born west of here. I was an only child and spent most of my time with my mother. My father died when I was young and I never got over it. Oh, and I like medicine and reading books about failed pre-war socioeconomic policies. Right now, I'm sure you're asking yourself, why hasn't some lucky man scooped this bachelor off his feet? Like I said, I'm boring. The followers taught me everything I know about medicine. Despite our humble abode here in New Vegas, we have great facilities back in the NCR. We may have overextended ourselves by setting up camp in Freeside, but the people here need help from someone. If not us, who? Honestly, it isn't too difficult if you have half a brain and aren't a complete jerk. I wanted to help people and I enjoyed learning, so I signed up. New Vegas is in trouble, so I came out here. If someone doesn't step up and try to help the people here, it's going to end very badly.
That, ladies and gentlemen, are the Enclave Remnants. They are involved in one of my favorite quests in the game. In order to activate this quest, the player character has to do a number of things throughout the story, in a certain order. You also need the approval of Arcade Gannon himself. If you get his approval, and further on this quest, Arcade Gannon has something else to say about his father.
Maybe I can't fill my father's shoes. I wouldn't even know how. But if following in his footsteps for a while means I can do some good out here, I'll do my best.
That does it for this lore video. If you guys have any requests for future lore videos, please leave a comment down below. Let me know how I did. Thank you so much for watching, guys. More content definitely on the way. Until next time, don't forget to subscribe and be careful in the wasteland.